Hi, welcome. I'm Vi. I'm e-commerce marketing expert at Omnisend. And today we're going to talk about how to scale your email marketing to a $1 million revenue machine. And lucky for us, today we have Carl from Easy Email Boost. He's going to share his checklist that can help you get there. And most importantly, for those who are attending live, you can ask him questions. So we're in for a treat. Carl, would you like to say hello?
Yes, hello everyone. I saw that some people it's super early where you are. I'm in the UK, so it's 3 p.m. So if you joined in, it's really early. Appreciate that. And we'll make sure that you have a lot of fun today.
Fantastic. A couple of things to know before we begin. This session is being recorded. You will receive the recording in a couple of days in your inbox. We will include the presentation, all the resources that we share in the chat, and also a link to talk to Carl if anything. Also, if you have any questions at any point for Carl, at the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A tab. You can add your questions there, and then we will either pause to answer those, or we will wait till the end when we have a Q&A session. We also have customer support team in the chat, so they'll be happy to answer any Omnisend related questions as well. So again, you will receive the recording in a couple of days. Any questions, use the Q&A tab at the bottom. All right, Carl, the stage is yours.
So this is what we're going to blast through today. We're going to have a lot of fun, and we're not going to spend a lot of time getting in the weeds and getting too complicated. We're going to find out, or you're going to find out, what a seven-figure scaling score is, and I'm going to tell you how to calculate yours. And we're going to go through basically my 25-point checklist for scaling email revenue. I'm going to give you the easiest way to grow revenue with your email campaigns, the simplest way to improve your flow super quick. We're going to spend a small bit of time looking at real world results from brands using these tactics, not too much. And also you're going to get a bag of freebies, which is some free stuff to help you scale. And of course, if you have questions, we're going to do a quick Q&A. All right, so let's get into it. Hold on just a sec. Right then, so I thought we'd just start with this and just ask you, is there anyone here who has under 30% of your revenue coming from email marketing? So if you have less than 30% of your revenue coming from email marketing, just pop it in the chat. Now, the 30% revenue thing, honestly, it doesn't really matter if it's less or more. I've worked with so many different brands and it darts around loads and loads. But generally, if there is less than 30% of your revenue coming from email, there's probably room for growth. So by the end of this webinar, you'll know your seven-figure scaling score, which is a score out of 25. And the lower your score, the more ways you have of scaling your email revenue. So don't worry if you score like 6. That's actually a good thing because it means you've actually got plenty of room to grow into and there's lots of money that you can recoup. We're also going to tell you 2 of the easiest and quickest ways to scale your email revenue. And number 3, you're going to get a free pack of resources. And one of the resources actually will help you enjoy a record-breaking Black Friday Cyber Monday because it is not too early to talk about that. So a little bit about me, just quickly. I've been working in e-commerce email marketing for over 9 years, from large publicly traded companies to family-run startups. And there is one thing I find that always holds true. No matter what the brand, I always work to this, which is my email marketing mantra, which is to start simple and scale up. And the graph you see there is actually an interesting one because we can see that there is a problem in December. First of all, we notice that it's a nice steady incline and then there's an issue, which we'll talk about later. But the cool thing about this particular brand is they had a problem in their business. It wasn't an email problem. There was a problem in their business and it bounced back immediately because their foundations were super strong because they just started simple and then scaled up. Now, before you start scaling, you just need to have some basics down. Things like a pop-up on your store, some basic email flows, and just a basic content calendar. So if you're in that sort of beginner level of email marketing, that's absolutely fine. If your brand is new and you haven't got much going on, that's okay. If you've got the basics down, you're all right. Now, let's get scoring. So this is how this is going to work. If you could get out a bit of paper and a pen and just give yourself a little tally mark for each of these things that you have, or just open up a Word doc or something like that and just put a 1 every time you get a point. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to blast through this list. Like I said before, we're not going to get too stuck in the details. So if there's something that you have no idea what it is, you don't have it, you don't know what it is, just don't give yourself a point. So your job through this is to just see how many of these things you have. And then by the end of it, it should be really obvious where the gaps are in your email marketing channel. So you can just focus on the most highest ROI task, get that done so you can get quick and simple results, because email marketing is actually a very vast subject and it can cause people to procrastinate and not do things. But actually, if you start simple and scale up, you can actually get results a lot faster and it can be enjoyable and fun. So that's what we're going to try and do. We're actually going to start with deliverability, because if you do not land in the inbox, then you've kind of already lost. So we're going to start here. And if you have Google Postmaster Tools set up, you can give yourself a point. If you do not know what Postmaster Tools is and you've never heard of it, do not worry. Just don't give yourself a point. All right. And we're just going to try and go through this now nice and quick. If you have these 3 DNS records set up, give yourself a point. If you don't know what they are, don't give yourself a point. If you've cleaned your list within the last 6 months, again, you get a point for that. Omnisend make this really easy because there's a tool inside of the dashboard, which you can see there. So if you're not using Omnisend, you probably should. Let's move on to the next slide. And if you've ran a health check, a deliverability health check within the last 30 days, you also get a point. Again, Omnisend make this stuff really, really simple. Other email platforms have similar things. So if you've done these things, give yourself a point. Again, if you don't know what they are or you can't do them, just don't take the point, okay? Now, moving on to something which is super, super fun. 7-figure flows. If you have any kind of welcome flow set up, give yourself a point. If you have a post-purchase flow specifically for new buyers, you get a point. If you have a post-purchase flow specifically for repeat buyers, a point. If you have a cart abandonment flow set up, there's another one. Checkout abandonment flow, that's a point. Browse abandonment flow, another point. And browse abandonment is at the product level. So if someone's viewed a product, but they have not added it to bag and left your site, that's that one. Site abandonment flow, so any pages above product level, like category or homepage. If you have a win back flow, it's another point. Sunset flow, another point. A VIP flow, another point. Birthday or purchase anniversary. Personally, I use these kind of interchangeably. So if you have either of these, get a point. And if applicable to your replenishment flow. Now, if some of these, if you have no idea what a lot of those are, and you know what, I'll quickly back up so you can very, very quickly see. Don't worry, okay? All you need to know right now is if you have them or not. That's all we need to know, okay? Then we're going to move on to email campaigns. So by campaigns, I mean those one-off campaigns that you plan in every week. Things like a flash deal or a summer sale, or whatever, something like that. Maybe a product launch or something like this. Quick quiz, just to break it up a little bit. What do you think is the average number of emails most brands send per week? So just type it in the chat how many campaigns you think a brand sends per week. We'll just have some fun with this real quick. Cool. So I'm going to give you the answer.
So we have T3, 2, T3, 3, 3.
Oh, wow.
3.
Wow, okay. I mean, if that was the case, it would be so good. But various sources, including data from Omnisend, most brands send 1 to 1.5 campaigns per week. Now, I don't know who is sending 0.5 of a campaign, like half an email. Just joking, of course. But we can see there, actually, there's a little bit of room for growth. So looking at campaigns, this is what we're going to focus on: frequency. If you're sending 1 email campaign per week or more, you get a point. If it's 2 or more, you get another point. 3 or more, there's another point for you. 4 or more, there's another point there. If you're doing more than that, no more points for you, because you might be doing a little bit too much. It does depend on the brand and how big the database is, though. I worked for a huge brand before who basically sent an email every single day, sometimes more than once a day. Unbelievable. And And you know what? It was also absolutely fine. Okay, next section. Are you feeding the monster? So growing the database. Because your email channel should be a revenue monster. It really should. But your monster will die if you don't feed it. Growing your database is things like, do you have a pop-up? Please say you do, because that's the point for you. Are you collecting subscribers in your website footer? So you know when people scroll down to the bottom of the website, and it might say something like, you know, get 10% off, enter your email address here. And it's just static, it's always there. You can also collect email subscribers at the checkout. For example, this is your typical Shopify checkout. And you've got one on the left there that just says, email me with news and offers. One on the right, love freebies and discounts, subscribe to our emails. Generally, the one on the right will convert better, but this is the type of thing you can test. But just wanted you to see some examples there. Next section with SMS. We're going to keep this just very, you know, like high level. We're not going to get into the weeds too much because a lot of brands actually neglect SMS. So we're going to start here with SMS. Are you sending any SMS campaigns? If you are, you get a point. Omnisend make this really, really easy. So if you're using Omnisend, you should be doing this for sure. And if you're not, it's a very easy thing to start doing. And are you using SMS in your flows? Again, Omnisend make this really, really easy to integrate. So if you're using them, then well done. That's another point. And now we can look at the score breakdown. So that's actually the checklist done.
Carl, could you go
Yeah.
through everything one more time from the beginning, just so we make sure we got everything now that we know what to expect?
Yeah. Let's go back. So deliverability, we had, let's just put all those two up there first. We've got Postmaster tools and your DNS records, SPF, DKIM, DMARC. You need all of those. Omnisend can help you with these anyway, so it's all good. Clean your list within the last 6 months. Running a health check, a deliverability health check. So that's the deliverability section done. In terms of flows, it's the list of flows that hopefully you've got set up, but if you don't, it doesn't matter because it's room to grow. Welcome flow, post-purchase for new, post-purchase for repeat, cart abandonment, checkout abandonment. You know what? I'll just back up a bit there because we've got cart abandonment and checkout abandonment. A lot of people think that's the same thing. Checkout abandonment is when somebody has actually started the checkout procedure. So they're on maybe the checkout page where they can enter their payment details and stuff like that, and they abandon there. But some websites, you can add to bag without actually starting the checkout procedure. That is a cart abandonment, just to clarify those points. Then you have browse abandonment, which is product level, site abandonment, everything above product level, and a win-back flow. A sunset flow. So win-back is to win customers back. Sunset flow is when people are going to lapse. VIP flow for your best customers, birthday or purchase anniversary, or replenishment. So that's all your flows in campaigns. We talked about frequency. So it's 1 campaign or more, 2 or more, 3 or more, 4 or more, nothing above 4. I'm not saying you can't send more than 4, but for the purpose of this checklist, we don't need to go any further than that. Then it's growing your database. Do you have a pop-up? Do you have something in your website footer, a static form? Are you collecting subscribers at the checkout? And then with SMS, are you sending SMS campaigns? Are you using them in flows? And both of these are integrated so well with Omnisend. It's made very, very easy for you. So you should definitely be using those. And the breakdown goes like this. There's 4 points in deliverability available, 12 in flows, which gives you a big clue to where most brands have an area for growth. Campaign frequency is 4. There's 3 available in list growth, and there's 2 available in SMS. And the maximum available is 25. So what was your score? And remember, if you scored low, that's a good thing. And also, you don't need to know what every single thing is on that list. You just need to know if you have it or not. That's all we need to know. If you want to share your score, go ahead, share your score, and we'll see where we're at. It would be so good. Has anybody got 25? That would be amazing.
I don't think they would be on this webinar if they had all 25.
Never know. You never know. Feel free to share your score. If you're still counting them up, no worries, because whilst you're sort of counting them up, we'll move on to this next section, which is...
We have a couple of people who volunteered their score. They have 4. There's 14 out of 25. There's 15. Okay. There's 15. There's someone with 3. If anyone else would like to share their score, there's a 9 in there as well.
Nice. Okay, so what's cool about this, though, is that what you'll know now is where you don't have points, the things that you're missing. My recommendation to you, we're going to go through some stuff in a minute, which can get you some really, really quick and easy wins. But after this webinar, you can just simply look at this list, pick one thing that you can see. There'll be one thing right now that is standing out to you where you can just say, you know what, I just need to do this one thing. Do that one thing, and that is going to start scaling your email revenue. That's a point towards scaling your email revenue. Once it's done, move on to the next thing. Very, very easy. And that's what this brand did. So what happened in December? With this brand in particular, it was very much start simple, scale up. They were actually on, I'm not going to mention other email platforms, but they were on an email platform before, which wasn't even really an e-commerce specific email platform. So they were very, very sort of basic beginner level, and we just built it brick by brick. So in December, they had issues with their product packaging. Their supplier of product packaging had problems. They just couldn't get it. So they had to basically deliberately not sell their products. And that's what happened in December. Awful time of year for that to happen, especially for this brand who actually does better in the winter months and not so well in the summer months. But because their foundations were solid, because you can see the steady growth before December, that was us just building the foundations, laying those bricks. When the packaging came in, we could quite easily switch everything back on. And you can see we actually bounced back a lot higher. This screenshot was taken quite a few weeks back, actually. And this brand now is scaled up further to over 65K a month. So that's what can happen when you just start simple and scale up and just add these things in just piece by piece. So let's talk about an easy campaign revenue booster. I reckon that most people can guess this already. Send more emails, of course. If you're sending one campaign per week, send more. So just send one more campaign, no matter how many you're sending now, unless you're doing like 4, send one more. I'd go up to around 3 per week for most brands and no more than 4 usually. Keep it easy, open up your campaign calendar and just add one more in per week. It could be a follow-up to your original campaign. So for example, if you usually send an email on a Monday or Tuesday, just do a follow-up for the Thursday or Friday. Easy as that. And here is a pro tip. Don't double your workload. I know a lot of brand owners in particular will spend hours creating their weekly email campaign. We don't want to do that because that's doubling your workload. And most brand owners do not have time to double their workload. So we want to keep this new extra email really simple. But we also need to keep it interesting for your email list. Text-based emails equals simple for you and interesting for them. Try not to be too afraid of text-based emails, by the way. All you can do at this point is just test them out. They work like this: solid copy, solid CTA, and life is good. Use the slow framework, which I'll show you in just a second, to make writing easy for you and entertaining for them while converting really high. Slow framework is story, lesson, offer, and shout out to my friend Alan Dragu for teaching me that framework a little while back. And also, extra campaigns can actually boost deliverability if you send to your best subscribers. So with deliverability, sometimes, well, pretty much all the time, frequency can be your friend if you're sending to the right people. And that's what you can do with your extra email campaign, because an entertaining email is interesting and interesting is entertaining. So your subscribers will be happy to receive another email from you. This is the story lesson offer framework shown. This is actually one I wrote for a client of mine. This email was sent, I believe, in April, I think, and it made about 30% more revenue than all the other campaigns that month. So let me just move this thing out of the way. I'm going to break it down for you. And we got here story lesson offer. Now, just so you know, when this email was out in the wild, it had more white space. It wasn't as wide as this either. This has been sort of squished up to fit on the slide. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked if it was all long and stuff. So just keep that in mind. Normally, we'd have a lot more white space in between sentences and paragraphs and stuff. But let's get into it. The story section. Saw this on Reddit. It's a classic curry fail. Spoiler, it didn't end well. Just made a chicken madras. Way too much curry powder and it tasted bitter. Total letdown. This is so common. So that's the story. I just did a quick bit of research and found this sort of curry fail. So as you can tell, this is for a food brand. The lesson is, unless you grew up around Indian food, it's almost impossible to judge how much spice you need in a curry. You have to consider the volume of food, water content, and other ingredients and more. This is why we created our spice kit range. So that's interesting. So now people know, oh, okay, there's all these different things involved in getting this right. And obviously part of the lesson, you could say it's part of the offer, is that line that says, this is why we created our spice kit range. And obviously it's hyperlinked there. The offer, there's lots of different parts to the offer. With over 30 years of experience running Indian restaurants and takeaways, our expert chefs carefully measure the perfect amount of spices you need for each curry. So that's a lot of authority in that first line. The 30 years expert chefs, so on. Next part. Plus, with the simple step-by-step instructions that come with each spice kit, you can enjoy restaurant quality curry in under 30 minutes. So that's about ease of use and also quality of product. So step-by-step, under 30 minutes, restaurant quality. The result, I'll let one of our customers be the judge of this. This is probably the best butter chicken I've ever tasted, even beats restaurant standards, and is so easy to make. Highly recommended, Janet King. So that's a real review. And what's good about this review is it's backing up the claims that we've made already in the email. So talking about the quality of the product and how easy it is to make. Moving on. Not only that, but each mouth-watering spice kit makes enough curry to serve 4 people. So that's more about value for money there. If you want to make huge savings compared to takeaway prices while enjoying a restaurant quality curry at home with ease, then try our spice kits today. And to make it easy to choose which delicious curry to try first, I'll drop a few of my personal favorite bundles and curries below for you. Enjoy. And then this email was finished with a sign off and just a product feed at the bottom. So you can see there, that is a very simple email with no design in it, which actually also helps deliverability, that you can add as a follow-up to any campaign, really. So moving on to scale.
Before we move on, there's a really excellent question from Stephanie. So, that's all great for, let's say, food things regarding like text-based emails. What about fashion industry that is really heavily reliant on the visual storytelling? What would be your opinion there?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And what I'd say to that is a text-based email is not, especially in fashion, I wouldn't use it exclusively. So most of the emails, let's say you send 3 emails in a week or 2 emails in a week, and this is going to be the 3rd. That means there'll be 2 heavily designed emails and 1 text-based. And don't forget, at the bottom of this email, there's also going to be a product feed. So that's going to bring in some visuals as well. So actually, it's not so much about what they can see. It's about how interesting this is. So if you are being interesting to your list, then it is going to convert. So for a fashion brand, depending on, like what the target market is, I would just pick something that's sort of hot and trending within that market at that moment. So it could be a story about someone or a celebrity or whatever. And I would just probably pop something in there that's interesting and fun, because what you have to think about is the subject line and everything for that email will be so different to everything else that's in their inbox. It'll be a lot more interesting, a lot more eye-catching. It'll be fun to read. And then you do a quick segue. That's where the offer section comes in. You just do a quick segue into your products. And then it's just a different kind of email that's taken you minutes to write. Maybe not minutes, maybe half an hour. But, you know, half an hour or an hour compared to 4 hours is nothing. So it can be done. And the stories could be anything. They could even be a message from the brand owner, a little behind the scenes peek about what's coming or what's been going on in their personal life, something like that. As long as you're just keeping it light, keeping it enjoyable, keeping it fun, you'll be fine. And the only other thing I'd add to that is, this is not a client of mine, but a friend of mine ran emails like this, text-based only, for somebody who sold art, so like paintings and stuff. You could argue that that type of product is the most visual of products, and they never put a visual in the email. The email was always about the story behind the piece, and then you'd click through and then you'd see the piece of art, and they sold so much. So yeah, does that answer your question? All good?
Yes. Yes, all good.
All right, wicked. If you have a follow-up to what I said, please just say. I'm happy to talk about this. It's all good. A lot of people feel uneasy with text-based emails, but in fact, something I'm seeing right now, and a lot of my peers and people I've worked with, is actually brands that are building, focusing on relationship with their list. Those are seeing the best results. The best way to build a relationship is to be personable. The best way to be personable is to send a personable type of email, which is text-based. And this sort of ties into the lifetime revenue mindset. And the better relationship you can build with your email list, the bigger the lifetime revenue is, essentially. There's actually a lot to unpack there. There's probably a whole nother webinar's worth of stuff, but anyway. Moving on to flows. Easy way to scale flows. Obviously, we've talked about this already, actually. Set up any missing flows, but don't worry about creating flows with 20 emails in, you know, and like all the kind of conditional splits and logic, if this, then that, and stuff like this. Start simple by using 1 email per flow and add more later. So assuming your brand can set flows up like this, you know, you don't have to have conditional split logic. What I'm saying is cherry pick the easiest ones and just do it in an easy way. And then you just add more as you go. You'll collect data and you can just add it as you go. Because as long as this email is, or this flow is live, it's going to be collecting revenue for you. And when you think about creating the perfect flow, it can actually be quite intimidating, and you can procrastinate on that, and it takes ages. It never goes live. And sometimes even you can do all the work, you know, and it could flop because, you know, that's marketing for you, right? It can happen. But by building it piece by piece, it's just more efficient. So you're spending sort of less time up front, if you like, and getting more results in. Next way is my raising the floor method. So that's when you find your weakest existing emails, you find out why they're weak, which just look at the metrics, opens, clicks, place order rates, and then just run tests to make the weakest email stronger. That's called raising the floor. Instead of raising the ceiling where you pick, say, your best performing email and try to make it perform even better, that's raising the ceiling. This is raising the floor, and this helps to just raise the baseline overall for your email revenue. So an example is you find an email with a low open rate, you can test subject line or send time. Or if it has a low click rate, CTA split test. There's a whole bunch of different tests you can do. We don't want to talk about every single test you can run. And the third, probably the easiest flow win, is can a flow handle another email? So essentially, if the metrics are strong, that means you should test another email in that flow. This is an example. You have an abandoned cart flow with 1 email in it, and that 1 email gets a 55% open rate, a 15% click rate, and a 9% placed order rate, which are all really strong metrics. So add another email to the flow that follows up the next day. Simple as that. Let's say you had 2 emails in that flow and the metrics are strong, just add another one. It just means that it can handle another email. And if you add one and it bombs, it's fine. Just remove it. You will get to a point with most flows where you're like, you know what? They're like, that's the limit now. We're cool. We don't need to add any more emails to this flow. But this is such an easy win. I once worked with a pet brand who they were kind of like global, right? And I had a look at their US account. This is one thing I did for them. And in like a day, it adds so much more revenue, a whole bunch of revenue daily. You do it once and it makes money every day. So yeah, add one more email. So let's look at some key takeaways, unless there's any more questions that's dropped in by, if anyone wants me to go over anything real quick. All good?
I think you covered everything as the questions rolled in.
All right, cool. So key takeaways, and then some freebies to help you with everything, as promised. So right now you should have a score out of 25 and the lower equals more room to grow. So there were some 3s and 4s I remember in the chat. That's all good. You've got so much to look forward to, and just do it piece by piece. The fastest way to increase revenue is to send an extra email campaign per week. But if you can, try not to double your workload. I understand how people get really busy, but you can send quality emails without spending 4, 5, 6 hours and a whole bunch of resources. You don't have to rebuild flows. You can fix what's weak first. And advanced strategies come after you master the basics. You know what? You don't even have to master the basics. Just get those foundations in. And then you can move to advanced strategies, because today wasn't about an exhaustive list of every single thing you can do in email to make more money, right? And more sales. This was about the strong foundations and scaling to 7 figures. And what we've covered today can get you there, depending on the size of your brand and everything. Because remember the mantra, start simple and scale up. And scaling up happens brick by brick.
Before we move on, I still wanted to catch you with a couple of questions. You mentioned, of course, and I really like the idea of if the score is on the lower side, there's space for growth. But I've seen some comments that the keyword was overwhelm. So let's say I'm a small business owner. I have this list. It's very clear for me that there are gaps. How do I get out of that overwhelm? Where do I begin? Because you share, of course, those tips of adding another campaign. But let's say I'm just so overwhelmed with everything. Maybe my score is 4. What do I do?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I do empathize. I'm a small business owner myself, so I get it. So if a campaign feels too overwhelming, then don't do the campaign. Just drop back onto flows, because flows are not time sensitive. And just pick one. It doesn't even matter which one. Pick the easiest one, because sometimes you just need some momentum. Having another tick in a box can feel really good. So I would pick the easiest task that you think you can do. And if you remember with flows, we talked about just one email in the flow. That's all you need. Just start with that. So pick one flow with one email and just get that one done. And again, it's kind of like the minimum viable execution of that flow. So don't make it horrible, of course. But you don't have to spend hours and hours and hours making it the most perfect thing in the world. Just make it like the minimum viable execution for the flow. So that's my recommendation for people with overwhelm. Just do one thing. You can only do one thing anyway, right? So just do one thing. And as soon as you've done that one thing, you'll start to gain momentum. And you just do another one thing. Just take it from there.
Absolutely. I would like to add from my own side that sometimes I do feel overwhelmed as well. And then I allow myself to get an easy and quick win. I pick a small task. Again, maybe you want to implement another form at the footer of your website. It's pretty quick, pretty easy. So allow yourself to get that quick win. And then you'll get, as Carl said, you'll get that momentum. You'll feel better because you've already done something that's beneficial for your business. So absolutely lean into that. One thing at a time.
Yeah, could not agree more, Vi. Really could. Just do something easy. That's the thing with momentum, when you build that snowball and stuff, it's tiny. It's a snowflake at first, and then you roll it and roll it and roll it. Then it's a huge snowman. You don't start with the huge snowman trying to roll. You start with the snowflake. So just start small.
And I also wanted, it's kind of like a follow-up question to this, but as you were talking about, and as soon as you mentioned an additional campaign, you did touch on the thing, do not double your workload. But on the other hand is, how do we prevent the creative fatigue? Because there's like, there's many emails you can send that are so interesting and engaging. And then if you keep sending lots of campaigns, like how do you not to get that creative fatigue?
I think that's a really hard question. You know what? I actually think like creative fatigue is quite subjective. Personally, you think I create emails for many, many brands like every week, and I've been doing it for years, and I'm okay. I'm not fatigued yet. It's about actually building, like, if you've got a steady bank of ideas and an easy way to get ideas, then you're cool. And in fact, it's almost like removing the creative part out of it. Because if you're starting from scratch and you're creating from zero, then yeah, that can actually be quite a lot of heavy lifting. But if you're doing something like the example that I showed earlier, where I just went out and found a story, well, that's actually, when you think about it, I haven't really created anything. I didn't make that story up. I went and found it. It was interesting, turned it into an email. So yeah, I think actually by doing that's the cool thing about a text-based email is actually, yeah, you don't really need to create. You just need to find something interesting. So if it was just something that's happened in the brand, like for example, let's say there's a new website update, or you're getting a new logo, or whatever. Just thinking about a client I have at the moment who's going to be actually rebranding their entire store soon. We can talk about that. That's not creative. That's happening. So you don't really create anything. Someone I heard once say, don't create, document. So you could just be documenting something interesting. So there we go. That's my advice there.
Awesome. I couldn't agree more. There are so many stories. Go on Reddit and you'll find real stories and just lean into those.
And also email replies. Like a lot of people do reply to your marketing emails, or maybe they're replying to you on your social channels as well. So there's going to be like questions, and well, there's going to be a whole bunch of questions. There might be some experiences people have had and stuff like this. So the content that you need is everywhere. In fact, you probably got a massive stack of it already. So you don't need to create anything. You just need to turn it into an email.
Absolutely. Kathy made an excellent point. She said, you can mine your own reviews. There are stories there.
Yeah, that's a great one. I love review mining. Review mining was something that I mastered when I worked for a huge brand. When I was kind of cutting my teeth in email marketing, I did a lot of that. It's so good and so effective. And review mining your own reviews and review mining competitors just to get ideas as well. They're bad reviews. It can be really interesting.
Fantastic. I'm just looking at the time. I think we can move on to the freebies.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so everybody wants some freebies. So your bag of freebies, introducing the bag of freebies. This is what you can get, and I'll tell you how to get them all in just a second. So you'll have the slides from this webinar, of course, but also a PDF of the checklist that you can literally tick off as you go along. So I've got the checklist on its own. You can print it off, whatever, use it as many times as you like, and you can just tick things off as you go. A much easier way probably than going through the slides. Daily Ask Me Anything access to me. So if you have a question about your email marketing, just send me an email. Happy to answer. I read and reply to all the emails I get from people on my email list and like from LinkedIn and stuff like this. And again, I'll tell you how to get this stuff in a minute, but the first 27, I don't know why I made this 27. I think I just got really excited about the webinar, made it 27. It should have been 7, but it's 27. You get a free boost your email revenue in 30 minutes call with me. This is actually one of my paid services, but of course, no charge. It's not sales call or anything weird like that. We look at your email marketing and we find the quickest places to scale. Or you might just have a burning question you want to ask me, which is absolutely fine. So that's the slides, the PDF, and the daily access to me via email. And the first 27 can get that. And probably the best thing, save the best till last, the Black Friday, Cyber Monday maximum exposure method course when it's available, which will be around September time. So I've been doing Black Friday campaigns for about 9 years, over 9 years. And there's a certain way, there's one way I do them, which I've been mastering over the years. And here's an example of the results that it can bring. So you can see on screen there, Hector from a brand called Kiddo Space. They got me in last year only for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. They brought me in to help out with that strategy and writing the emails and execution with their team and stuff like this. And we can see that in 2023, they did about 60K. And in 2024 was the year that I was in, where I did this specific method of BFCM, 180K, and that's a 202% increase. And the cool thing is, my method, as you can probably imagine from the theme of this call, is very simple. It's simple and it's easy to execute, which means it's executed always to a high standard and converts well. And to kind of give you an idea on a per email basis, in 2023, they were doing about 1,800 euros per email. In 2024, it was nearly 5K. It's 4.7. That's in euros because they do everything in euros, which is fine. So the first 27 people to grab the bag of freebies will have access to this course and get the call, and you'll get all the other stuff too. And to get it all, so you can rush over now to carlashton.com/Omnisend, or you can scan that QR code and you'll join my email list. And if you're quick, you'll get the other stuff as well. And that's it.
Thank you. There are 2 people very keen to get that call. So at least we'll be getting those.
Go and get it.
27 is very generous. So we do appreciate that.
No, I don't know why I did that. I was looking at this earlier thinking I'm going to be on calls so much in the next week. So I'm going to have to move some stuff around to make myself available for that. But that's fine. Happy to do it. Happy to help.
Awesome. We still have a couple of minutes. So if anyone has any other questions for Carl, it's your time to do that. Use this opportunity. I'm just scanning the chat to see if we haven't missed anything.
Yeah, happy to spend a couple of extra minutes here answering any questions. If you need any help, just let me know.
Well, we're giving everyone a chance. I did have a question that it kind of relates to what I've been hearing from our customers as well. Deliverability in itself is quite a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
And, now you're telling me to send another campaign. And you did mention, send it to your best subscribers, your most engaged ones. But maybe someone still has that hesitation. They don't want to risk it. And now we have back to school campaign coming up soon. There's going to be Black Friday. There's that anxiety coming up. What would you suggest to do in those cases?
So deliverability is definitely probably the worst part of email marketing, but it's the most important because you have to make it to the inbox. The thing is, tools like Omnisend make it easier for you. So run the health checks, and you need to know your deliverability scores. You have to know. If it's strong, then you're okay. You can easily add in another campaign to your best segment of subscribers. And what happens is when you send to your best people, you get more opens, more clicks, more sales. But those engagement metrics tell all the inboxes, these emails are good. This is a good sender. Life's good. Happy days. And then when you send to your broader segments, the chances are more of your emails land in the inbox and, instead of promotions or spam and stuff like this. So it's really important that you email your best segment. To give you a very, very quick story, when I it's a horror story. When I very first started in email marketing, literally the first thing I did was break the deliverability of the of the brand I was working at, because I didn't know enough about it. And I didn't know before I started that the person handling it before me had kind of trashed it, right? So it was teetering on the brink. I came in, I sent a campaign which I thought was the right thing to do. I sent it to like non-openers of a previous campaign, and we just got a Gmail slap. The way to fix that was to send lots of emails specifically to Gmail, right? But it was to the best subscribers. And you do that enough times, you get out of spam and you're back in the inbox. So you know what, there's so much to deliverability, but all I can say is use tools like Omnisend to make sure your scores are high. If they're not, and you don't know how to fix it, then you do need to either speak to somebody at Omnisend or contact an expert. Just contact somebody who knows and just ask them to help you strengthen it.
Fantastic. Again, we have our customer support team available for you. So if you're really struggling with this, maybe that could be your first touch point. Maybe there's something that can be easily fixed in your account. And if not, then as Carl said, you can always reach out to people who specialize in that, who are professionals there. I do have a question, and it's from Michael. It was just interested in hearing what you'd consider an indicator of a form performing well versus poorly. And also, what delay do you use on in the initial pop-up? So the first part of the question is, what would you consider an indicator of a form performing well?
It's a great question. Thanks for that, Michael. So I have sort of two answers to it. My first answer is anything above 5%. My second answer is it doesn't really matter in one sense, because you should always be trying to beat your own base level. Like wherever you're at, you should try and beat it. Like launching one form and just leaving it is never really the best thing to do. I've launched forms that immediately convert at 12% and others at 8%. A good friend of mine who runs an email agency, an e-commerce email agency, is happy with kind of 4 or 5%. So there we go. So no matter where you're at, you definitely should always be trying to push that conversion. In terms of the delay, again, this is more about testing than anything else. As a matter of just a standard thing, you got to start somewhere. I like to do 33% of the page scroll as one trigger, and also like a 10-second trigger. And if possible, if you can have those little teasers in the corner where people can tap and it will just manually trigger the pop-up, that's really good as well. Hope that helps, Michael. Does that answer your question?
We'll let Michael answer that.
Okay.
There's a good question from Kathy. I personally as well, I like to address questions that are all about the buzz and what's trending. And Kathy is saying, is it really true that your welcome email has an impact on all your future sales? Is that just internet hype?
It does. I think it could be in many different ways, actually. First of all, internet hype, they're probably hyping it up too much, right? So let's just bring it down a few levels, okay? Even if you had a horrible welcome email, you still have other opportunities to recover things. So let's not get too carried away. So let's look at, we were talking about deliverability earlier. If you've got things in your welcome email that trigger spam, and your very first email that you send is going to spam, that's going to have a negative impact on your overall account. So in that regard, already, before somebody's even looked at the content, it is affecting everything from that point onward. And then if you want to get into just, the content and stuff like that, obviously a good email is gonna set a better tone than a bad email. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it is probably overhyped, but it is also the first email that your subscribers are going to receive. So it needs to be good. And it can, in certain circumstances, it can really set the tone for a good kind of long-term relationship with the subscriber as well. Instead of just, you know, a quick, boom, here's your code, get your 10%, let's not speak ever again, you know.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And Michael was happy with your answer.
Cool.
So all's good there. Fantastic. Okay, so no more questions. We are on time, so we will wrap this up. But again, everyone, you will receive the recording of this in a couple of days. We will include the slides. We will include the correct link that you can reach Carl. Remember, the first 27 people will get a call with him, so use this opportunity. Again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. Loved having a conversation with you. Such a good bunch of people answering questions and participating. So happy. And Carl, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing all your knowledge.
Absolutely my pleasure. Yeah, thanks to everyone who participated and for the questions. It was a lot of fun, and I hope everyone had a good time.
Fantastic. Thank you everyone so much. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.